Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, Councilmember Pastor, Councilmember McMahon, Councilmember Adams. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Just want to double check. Lisa, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum.
I'll go ahead and call the February 5th, 2026 Audit and Finance Subcommittee meeting to order and welcome everyone back to this intricate planning session. Lisa's going to call roll for us now.
Good afternoon. City of Avondale, Councilmember White.
Present.
Town of Fountain Hills, Councilmember McMahon.
Present.
City of Phoenix, Councilmember Pastor. She's online.
She's online.
Yes, thank you. City of Tempe, Councilmember Adams.
Present.
City of Tolleson, Vice Mayor Davis. All right, there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All meeting attendees, please mute your computer, microphone, or telephone unless you are speaking. If you would like to ask a question or make a comment, please type your comment into the chat box and it will be read and or will recognize you so you can speak aloud. Thank you. Moving to item number 1, public comment. The public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committee on non-agenda items and all action items for the joint RPTA and VR meeting agendas. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker unless the chair allows more at their discretion. A total of 15 minutes will be provided. Do we have any public comment today, Lisa?
No, ma'am, not today.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to item number 2, our Chief Financial Officer's report. And Mr. Ken Kessler, our CFO, is going to present this report for us. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, Madam Chair. Let's see, turn on the clicker. So do want to report on the Public Transportation Fund revenues. At this point, we have revenues information through December. We expect to get the January information probably in the next couple of days. So just didn't quite get that information in time for this meeting. So through December, we're about 3.25% over prior year and about 2.6% under the current year budget. So basically that same trend continues, been about the same pretty much for most of this fiscal year. So revenues are pretty consistent, although a little bit under forecast. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Happy to answer any questions.
I'll open up to the committee members with any questions.
I have a question.
Yes,
Yeah.
Chair Adams, please proceed. Thank you.
You're welcome. How are we going to make up these numbers? What's the plan? Because every month we're not meeting the budget. So just what's the plan?
Well, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Member Adams, in terms of making up, I mean, what we try to do is revenues are coming in short and keep a close eye on costs. We try to, contain our costs as best we can as we go throughout the year, as we're watching the revenue situation. So, I mean, in terms of making up the revenue, that's, a challenge in terms of literally making it up. So it's really kind of looking at the other side of the ledger and keeping an eye on costs and making sure we're keeping costs down and keeping them in line with the revenues that we're receiving. And not just the PTF revenues, but other revenue sources we have, like fair revenues and other revenues we have. And I do want to say, in terms of other revenues, we do continue to have a pretty healthy interest earnings on our balances. So we're into the several millions of dollars each year, and we budget that conservatively because we don't want to forecast that too aggressively. So we typically budget that well under $1 million, and the 3 years I've been here, it's come in at several $1 million. So that's a bit of an offset to the reduction in the regional sales tax revenue that helps us on the revenue side.
Okay, thank you very much.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler, and thank you for our stewards investing so that we have interest, possibly compounding interest as an alternative source to proceed with providing this public service. Any additional questions online? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move to item number 3. This is an action item. It's our minutes from the November 6th AFS meeting. They were in your packet. Please take another look at them to see if there are any additions, corrections. I'm ready to entertain a motion and a second to approve the November 6th AFS meeting minutes.
So
I
moved.
move. Second.
I have the motion by Councilmember McMahon, the second by Councilmember Pastor. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The motion carries. Thank you so much. We're moving to item number 4, internal audit charter update. We're going to have our chief auditor, Ms. Sabrina Beckstrom, introduce this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I have recently updated the internal audit charter as a result of changes to the internal audit standards published by the Institute of Internal Auditors. The prior standards were published in 2017, and the new global internal auditing standards were published in 2024. This charter update removes references to the prior internal audit standards and add references to the new global internal audit standards. The standards are very similar. It's just some terminology changes and added a requirement for an internal audit mandate, as well as also including a requirement to develop and maintain a formal multi-year internal audit strategy. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Committee, hopefully you've had the opportunity to take a look at that. We have the high bar bullets on the screen for your review. Are there any questions for Ms. Beckstrom? Hearing none, we do need a motion and a second to accept the 2026 revisions to the internal audit charter.
So moved.
Number 5.
We're on item number 4.
Great.
I'm sorry,
Four. Sorry.
did I hear a motion?
Yes, from McMahon.
Yes, a second from Pastor.
Thank you so much. Motion by Councilmember McMahon, second by Councilmember Pastor. Any discussion? Again, hearing none. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay? The motion carries. Thank you for making these revisions, Ms. Beckstrom. We'll continue on with item number 5, internal audit strategic vision for 2026 to 2029. Ms. Beckstrom is going to introduce this item and present this for us.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, members of committee. As I mentioned in the internal audit charter, internal audit is required to set a multi-year strategic vision going forward as part of our internal auditing standards. This vision that we created this year we created it to maintain flexibility while ensuring the strategic alignment with the global internal auditing standards. And so how we're going to do that is to continue to prioritize an annual internal audit plan based on risk and Valley Metro strategic goals and foundational goals. The multi-year plan that you see in your packet sets a guidepost to ensure that audits are conducted in each of Valley Metro's strategic goal areas at least every 5 years where feasible. And those goal areas are listed in the strategic vision as well. With an outset to ensure that we're providing value to Valley Metro by auditing the areas that are most important as the goals were set by the board and Valley Metro staff. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Beckstrom. When I just take a look at item 3 in the full report that we have and look at how they are aligned with our strategic and foundational goals, safety first still percolates to the top, which is something that's very important. And we have safety when we deliver excellent customer experiences and then prioritize that safety on transit. So I just wanted to acknowledge these things are what we expected from the board. And as you move through, we are investing in talent, financial sustainability, and operational excellence, and leveraging the data and technology to do so. So looking at that being our plan through August of this calendar year, I really appreciate that. I'll turn it over to the committee online to provide any comments, questions, concerns.
I don't have any. This is Pastor.
Thank you so much. Councilmember
don't-
Adams.
I don't have any either. Thank you for the report.
Thank you,
I don't either.
Councilmember. Okay. I do have to ask, request a motion in a second to accept the 2026 internal audit strategic vision
I'll
through
move to,
2029.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I motion to accept. Okay.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Adams, a second from Councilmember McMahon. All those in favor, aye.
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 Any opposition, nay? The motion carried. Thank you so much. Moving to item number 6, internal audit update. We have our audit manager, Mr. Larry Conrad, to introduce this item. Thank you so much, Mr. Conrad.
All right, and thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. All right, I'm here to present this month's internal audit update. We completed all the internal safety and security audits for calendar year 2025, and we started work on the first one for calendar year 2026, and we hope to complete 9 of those this year. And currently in progress, we have 5 audits. The credit card transactions audit is undergoing final field work and testing review. The construction contract management, we received a draft audit report from the external auditors, and we met with them and we responded to their draft audit report, and they're currently revising it, and they're supposed to send us another draft audit report in next week. Security contract management and fair enforcement audits work has been completed, and the draft audit reports are currently being worked on. And the business continuity plan, preliminary work is being done right now. Okay, there are currently 11 audit recommendations in progress right now. And since the last AFS meeting, we've closed 5 of the audit findings and considered the recommendations implemented. And that is it for my internal audit monthly update. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from our committee for Mr. Conrad regarding the monthly update?
None.
I have none.
Hearing none, this is for information only. Thank you so much, Mr. Conrad. We appreciate you.
You're welcome, Madam Chair.
Moving to item number 7, FY 26 second quarter budget review. Mr. Tyler Olson, our budget manager, is going to go ahead and present this information for us. Good afternoon, Mr. Olson.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'll quickly go over the Q2 actuals. So we're looking at actuals through December. The good news is really for both agencies, we're within the annual appropriation thus far this year, which would be about 50% of the budget. We do have some upcoming changes in VMR's forecast, which Mr. Kessler will talk about during his mid-year presentation for VMR. We do not anticipate a mid-year adjustment for RPTA. Starting with RPTA. All right, so total operating sources, just about 46% thus far this year, as Mr. Kessler mentioned. Other revenues, our interest earnings, our investments are really doing a great job at helping cover some of that PTF shortfall versus the budget from ADOT. So doing well there. Capital side of things, really not much expended on the expenditure side. So revenues, no surprise, are a little light here at 22% for RPTA, all in 38% for the total program. Moving into the operating budget, about 45% spent thus far this year. So really well within our plan for the year, and don't anticipate any upcoming issues with that budget. Capital side of things, as mentioned, not too much activity on the capital side. It really varies kind of depending on when vehicles are delivered or projects are completed, very common with any capital program. Other regional projects I do want to mention slightly over, again, it's really about timing. So we program things in previous budget years that end up being delivered or completed. And this year, this happened to be our fare collection system, one of the final billings for the the regional fare box replacement program. And there is a handout with a bunch of detail with some of the budget variance notes. Just quickly touch on these utilities a little higher than planned. We've accounted for that in our 27 budget. As we know, utilities don't decrease the rates. So we're adjusting that in 27. And then on the capital side, it's really about timing. I'm not going to do each one of these, but another thing that happens, Mesa bus facility had a HVAC repair that was significant. We have a lot of folks out there and we know it gets very hot in the summer. So we had to take care of that. But that's my notes on RPTA. If there's any questions on RPTA, we'll take a quick pause. Otherwise, I'll move into VMR.
Hearing no questions from RPTA, let's go into VMR. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. VMR, same kind of view here. 43% collected on sources of funds for operating. So far, we do anticipate drawing down federal funds before the end of the year, which is really the same on our capital side as well. 23% spent there. Moving to the operating side of things, a little closer to budget here at 48%. We do anticipate these numbers going up slightly, which again, Mr. Kessler will talk about with some changes related to the transportation labor rates, as well as some parts that'll be delivered in 26. On the capital side of things, really, a lot of these are less than planned, with the exception of South Central. Again, Mr. Kessler will talk a little bit more detail about some of those changes that we're forecasting through the end of the year. These are multi-year capital budgets. They're within plan, and really just a timing issue. So moving on to some of the notes. Again, it's really about timing and seasonality. Have some annual payments that are paid up at the beginning of the year. The timing of the parts deliveries, as I mentioned. Capital side of things, very, very minor variances in the line item expenses, and the entire capital budget, as well as operating, is within the annual appropriation. So, that covers my update. I'd be happy to address any questions that anyone has.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olson. Committee, are there any questions?
None.
I have none.
Hearing no questions, this item is for information only, no actions required. Thanks again, Mr. Olson, for the comprehensive information. Moving to item number 8, Valley Metro Rail Fiscal Year 2026 Mid-Year Budget Adjustment. We're going to go back to our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Kessler, to present this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm going to present our proposed mid-year budget adjustment for Valley Metro Rail. This involves both the capital side as well as the operating side of the budget. Do want to mention the vast majority of this mid-year budget adjustment, about $18.6 million out of just under $22 million, is related to the capital budget. So let me walk through the changes here first on the operating side. For both light rail and streetcar operations, a couple of primary drivers here requiring this budget adjustment. Although we are right now trending a little bit under 50% through the midpoint of the year on the operating budget, we do have some expected additional costs coming in this year. The first and bigger item is the operators' wage rates. There was a collective bargaining agreement that had expired on June 30th of last year. The union and ACI, the contractor, continued to negotiate, and within the last couple of months or so, they came to an agreement on a new CBA. And since the old CBA had expired on June 30th, all the provisions of the new CBA go retroactive to July 1. So there are some adjustments to operator wage rates that will be retroactive, meaning those operators will get retroactive pay that goes back to July 1, which have not been reflected in our expenditures so far. When those hit here in the second half of the year, that will kind of push us forward a little bit from where we're at for the first 6 months. So that's one primary driver of this budget adjustment on the operating side. And the other part is ticket vending machines spare parts. So the new ticket vending machines we implemented about a year and a half ago, the vendor was to provide those spare parts actually last year. We had that cost budgeted in last year's budget, but there were delays in getting those parts to us. And so all of that kind of shifted into the current fiscal year due to the timing of the delivery of those parts. And so the payment and the cost for that is hitting the current year budget. So that's impacting this year as well. So all told, the operating side is about $3.2 million budget adjustment for the fiscal year. And then looking at the sources of funds for the operating budget, you can see here the changes are primarily here in federal funds, and that's the federal share for those ticket vending machine spare parts, and then member city contributions for both the ACI contract as well as the local match portion for the TVM spare parts. And then this is just a summary table of the use of funds showing the programmatic changes. So light rail up a total of 3.3 million and streetcar 0.1, and that's off a little bit from the number just due to rounding, the number previously presented on the detail slide. And then looking at the capital activities, a number of changes here. We both have some increases and forecasted decreases for a number of projects. First, future project development, just timing of activities in this area have been such that we're forecasting an underrun of the appropriated budget of about 8.8 million. For South Central, about a $32 million increase over the current year budget, mostly due to timing of costs that were budgeted and expected in fiscal year 25 are happening now in 26, just some delays and getting things finalized and invoices paid and those costs hitting the books. And then the capital extension project, this just want to let folks know, so this was worked up about a month and a half ago. So this was before the Phoenix City Council action on capital extension project. So at the time we had forecasted for the current year activities that the capital extension project would be underrunning the current year budget about $4 million. Of course, at this point, that project has been deferred and the West Phoenix project is going to be moving forward. And the West Phoenix project activities will be ramping up here, and the budget that's there in place for capital extension is more than sufficient to cover those costs of the West Phoenix. We just didn't think it was necessary for staff to go to all the work, do all the adjustments to reflect that here with the last minute, since that decision was just made in the last, a little over a week ago. But we will be well under budget with the activities of the West Phoenix project. And then a final couple things here in our capital program, Northwest Extension Phase 2. Again, for this project, some timing activities under this project. We are purchasing a couple additional light rail vehicles, and just the timing of those milestone payments, getting that lined up. So we need to increase the current year budget to accommodate for milestone payments that will be made on those vehicles in the current year. And then on our State of Good Repair program, again, this is more around the timing of getting the State of Good Repair work done and really having all the resources in place and capacity in terms of staff resources, et cetera, because a lot of those folks that do this work are doing regular day-to-day maintenance stuff. So just looking at where we're at for the activities under this program this year, we're forecasting we'll underrun that budget by about 6.7 million this year, and then some of those activities will just move forward into next year's budget. And then as far as the capital program goes, the source of funds, you can see here the changes occurring within federal funds, member city contributions, public transportation funds, and our carry forwards and reserves. And then again, just a summary table here of the different capital programs and their respective changes for the years. And as Tyler alluded to, I just did also want to mention for the major capital projects that are those big extensions, South Central, Northwest, those projects, of course, they have a multi-year budget, and with these budget shifts the current year, it's just timing for those projects. So we're still within the overall budget for those projects for the full term of those projects.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Councilmember Pastor.
I think it's slide 33.
What's the title?
32.
I can't see the numbers.
Just back one more.
Yeah, I can't see
What?
that far.
I didn't get clarity on that. On the the capital extension and future projects. I know that the capital extension, the vote was taken to delay it, but I didn't understand what you had said about the cost or decrease. So could you please add some clarity to that?
Sure, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, member Pastor. As far as capital extension goes here, this particular budget adjustment was calculated and forecast before the Phoenix City Council vote. This was done about a month and a half ago. And given that the vote just happened last week, we just didn't have the time to go through everything to kind of true this up and then add West Phoenix. But recognizing we have incurred some costs this year for the capital extension project to get it to the point where we're at now to kind of wrap it up and kind of, close it for now. And then as far as the West Phoenix project, that's not specifically budgeted because that activity wasn't planned for this year, but the remaining budget for capital extension is sufficient to cover, more than cover the West Phoenix activities that we expect for this year. Does that clarify on the capital extension?
Yeah, so what I am hearing is capital extension will be closed up. There will be some lingering costs to that. And then the west extension will be added and there's sufficient funds currently for the west extension.
Yes, that's correct. So, Madam Chair, Councilmember Pastor, yeah, as I mentioned, although West Phoenix wasn't specifically budgeted for this year, the remaining budget for the capital extension project will cover the activities for West Phoenix as we ramp that back up this year. And then, capital extension will be closed out here for this period here in the next, couple months to get all the final invoices from all of the contractors working on the project, get those paid and get reimbursement submitted to the city of Phoenix. And then we'll basically, put a wrap on that project. And in the meantime as well, West Phoenix activities are starting up.
Okay, and then I have a second question.
Please continue. Thank
And
you.
the second question is additional cost. Is the additional cost due to services? Or really due to labor?
Madam
That's
Chair.
what I heard.
Councilmember Pastor, could you clarify what you mean by additional costs?
Well, I heard that labor, the contract negotiation increased. Am I correct or I'm not?
Yes, you are correct. That was probably on the operation changes that he provided
Okay.
earlier
I'm
due
sorry.
to the union negotiations. We have to pay back pay starting on July 1st. So that is a part of it, upwards of $3 million in your packet.
Okay, that's what I'm trying
Thank you.
to, that's what I'm trying to clarify. My packet's a little wonky right now, so I'm trying to figure it out. Thank you.
Any additional questions? I just wanted, maybe it's for the viewing public, what is the source of the public transit funds? Just to make sure folks know when we see the funding source with that abbreviation.
Oh, sure, Madam Chair. So public transportation funds, or PTF, that's the share of the regional countywide sales tax. that VMR uses, and that's Proposition 400 sales tax specifically. Just want to clarify that as we're in the process of transitioning from Proposition 400 to Proposition 479 with different funding policies and rules around that in legislation. I just want to be clear that those are Prop 400 PTF funds for those projects.
In being mindful of the changes and the vote that was taken by the city of Phoenix, each one of these capital activities includes a regional contribution. So I know that being from the West, when we look at future project development, that's PTF and federal dollars. So we understand what the city of Phoenix has determined that they want to do, but the region already determined, and the federal government was looking at the I-10 West project. So we just hope that we understand that's going to back down a little bit. Our understanding as the viewers and people in the region is that the city of Phoenix wanted to reprioritize the projects. They're not nixing projects. So especially in a region this large, we need to be clear as to what the impact of one council has on a region. Yes, they are our heart and the largest city in the region, and we have full respect of that. But it's all of our funding that go to make this happen, and that decision reprioritizes it in the city of Phoenix. But we have high expectations in this region for future development down the I-10. So we're very happy to see this realignment, but we look forward to how we'll meet what we had offered through 400 and what we expect in 479. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, this item is for information only. There's no action required here. So we'll move on to item number 9, Valley Metro Fiscal Year 2027 Preliminary Transit Service Budget Assumption Update. And Mr. Olson's going to present this item for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm going to provide an update on the assumptions that I shared back with this committee in October, the high-level assumptions that essentially drive our transit service budget. So that's the budget that your cities cut checks for through their annual IGAs. I just want to mention, to respect the committee's time, I did hide some of the slides where there's no change. That way we don't have to repeat those. So just covering the updates from the last time that we discussed this. Starting with RPTA, looking at revenues. Last time we met, all we had was the FY25 forecast based on the timing that it was presented. So here's some updated financials with some local member cities who most of them have dedicated transit funds, and we also have PTF as a comparison there. Some cities doing better than planned, some cities doing a little bit less than planned. And this is just an update of the ADOT's official forecast that was released. And so the 26 budget showing a 10.7% increase over 25 actuals, and then the 27 budget 8.4% over those. On the revenue side of things, just a slight update on the PM. We actually had to bring it down just a little bit. So the federal preventative maintenance based upon previous unspent allocations that are being utilized this year. So made a minor update there, and then advertising, actually no change on that one. This is just another look at the PTF revenues that Mr. Kessler went over just by month. So you can see that trend. So, you know, the good thing is we're still above last year's actuals at 3.2%. So we'll continue to monitor that as it comes in. And just a reminder, ADOT does set the official budget forecast that we've always used historically. Revenue side of things, fare revenues on bus have been doing great. We're actually significantly above plan. This is just for the service that RPTA operates. So we'll go ahead and make that adjustment for FY27. It was relatively flat for 25, so doing better here. Just some minor updates to our base service of the total fixed route miles that we operate on RPTA. And this is really just affecting the pass-through piece that Phoenix operates and funds with public transportation funds based on those levels. So we're really working with them and them giving us updated numbers. So no impact of the service that we put out. It's really just a funding mechanism. Just a slight update on the fuel. Really, it's flat from FY26. So we don't expect an increase on fuel. Last time we met, it was relatively unstable, but based upon our conversations with City of Tempe and looking at our own Mesa bus facility, we don't expect an increase there. We do purchase our fuel from the city of Tempe, so we have a very collaborative process in how we budget for those funds. On the contract side of things, what's new from the last time we met is we're actually going out for a public procurement on the paratransit contract. So we actually don't know rates for FY '27 yet. So there'll be a little bit of contingency in there. Current market trends, just some minor updates to CPI and unemployment. So just continue to monitor the same areas that we usually do, but just some minor updates there. Any questions before I get into the Valley Metro Rail budget?
Mr. Olson, is it okay if we hold all questions for the end?
Sure,
Let you go
absolutely.
right on through. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. All right, the revenue side of things on Valley Metro Rail, just another minor update on our advertising, the minimum annual guarantee. We expect that to be 1.25 million. And then PM reduced slightly, similar to RPTA based upon trends right now. Fair revenue side of things, a little under plan on Valley Metro Rail side. So continuing to monitor that. I know our internal safety security teams, communications teams, all working together to make some announcements and really enforce those fares and the new technology that customers aren't used to having to scan every time. Rail transportation, so as a result of the ATU contract negotiations, the union, the labor union for alternative concepts, rates are down slightly based upon what we had projected preliminarily. And then, of course, we've pulled out some contingency for the unknown. We build this budget so far in advance. I like to have a placeholder when we deliver that first pass IGA estimate in October. State of good repair and working with our maintenance team. We've added a couple more items that were not in the plan from last year. So based upon surveys of those components and the status of those assets. And that covers my presentation, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to address any questions the committee may have.
I'll open up for questions on our online from our subcommittee members. I don't see any questions online. I did have a couple of questions I would like to, or maybe just a question and a commentary. The transit service items with two major contract rates showing unknown. So I'm just taking a look at the paratransit. If those rates come in higher, what's that risk going to be to the FY '27 budget?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. So depending on where those rates fall, which we don't know at this point, IGAs right now are being developed. We could potentially put some higher contingency in there. If any city wishes to do that, we're happy to work with them on IGA amounts. We do use an independent cost estimate, the best tool that we have really for anticipating what those costs are. If we do need an overall adjustment upward, meaning there's no other savings within our annual appropriated budget, we would come back to the board and of course the whole committee process to ask for a mid-year increase based upon where that falls and if we are going to exceed our authority for the year. Right now we did meet with cities on a Prop 400 closeout discussion. How do we do that? How can we look for ways to utilize that money? Some jurisdictions haven't spent all that money, and we're trying to figure out how to program that and close out Prop 400 in the next 5 years, so that we can officially close that out and help the cities. So there's opportunity. If there's a surplus of Prop 400, it could pay for ADA, services, paratransit services. Does that help answer your question?
Thank you. It does. I just see that as a risk in this space and just want to make sure we call that out, seeing that this Subcommittee is in place to kind of make sure we're staying on top of the responsible management of closing out those 400 books, and looking forward to continuing our strong partnership with MAG as we have them turn into that fiscal agent for 479 funds, and being able to make sure we have accessible, connected communities, because this is really what gets people across the valley. I think a lot of what we do in our cities, we can provide kind of microtransit, other ways to serve that ADA community. But when you cross municipalities, this is where Valley Metro fills a void. And we don't want that to become so expensive that and not know those rates kind of walking into this. It might put us behind the 8 ball. Any additional questions or concerns? Thank you, Mr. Olson. Thank you. This item is for presentation only. Hearing no additional questions or concerns, we will move over to item number 10, fiscal year 2025 Regional Public Transit Authority and Valley Metro Rail Annual Comprehensive Financial Report and Single Audit Reporting Package Acceptance. I'm going to ask Mr. Kessler, our CFO, to present this information. This is an action item, so please be prepared with any questions or concerns. Mr. Kessler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you say that 3 times fast? I don't like the agenda item title, first shot.
It's tough.
But seriously, yes, we do bring this to the Audit and Finance Subcommittee for acceptance each year. It goes to the management committees and the board as information. I do want to report that for both RPT and VMR, the FY25 ACFR, as it's now called, used to be CAFR, and single audit reporting package, I guess you would call that SARP, the ACFR and the SARP. They did come back with both agencies having clean opinions and no findings for both the financial report and the single audit report. So that's good news. We continue to have excellence in our financial reporting. We receive the GFOA certificate for reporting excellence each year, and we're very proud of that, and we work very hard to strive towards achieving that award every year. So happy to report a clean opinion with no findings this year across the board, and happy to answer any questions.
And you said that's the GFOA?
Yes, Government Finance Officers Association. They have this system where, for members of GFOA, you can apply for a GFOA certificate in excellence for financial reporting. You have to meet certain standards to earn that each year. And we've earned that for, I think, every year of existence for both of these agencies that they've been reporting.
Thank you so much for the work everyone does, from our CEO, Mefford Miller, all the way down to each member of the staff, for making sure that we are able to capture and correctly and accurately serve the public by providing them great financial information. I would like to open this up for any questions, comments, concerns to our subcommittee members. Hearing none, I will move to accept this report with commendations for your excellence ongoing. Is there a second?
Second.
I moved, and we have a second by Councilmember McMahon. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, this motion passes. Thank you so much for accepting our FY25 annual comprehensive financial reports and single audit reporting package. And again, thank you for your continued excellence in this space. We'll move to item number 11, intergovernmental agreement, contract change orders, amendments, and awards. That's information in your packet. Valley Metro staff is always available to answer any of our municipality and member agency questions or concerns. Please make sure you have your staff reach out, or you can reach out. The staff here is welcome to take any questions or concerns, especially in advance of our upcoming board meeting. We'd like to be prepared if there are any concerns. And I know we have a subcommittee going, so we'll move into item number 12, report on current events, suggested future agenda items. I just wanted to pause for a moment. We do have our CEO, Mefford Miller with us. If you can share with us the status of the subcommittee that was looking at, I believe it's our contracts, just so we have an idea of how that's going.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. We met on January 12th, I believe it was, for the first meeting of the subcommittee. And what that meeting was really to establish strategy and priorities for the committee, meeting cadence and topics moving forward. We anticipate that over the next 6 months, we will focus in that first part of time on procurement practices and policies. And this will include finally revision of our joint procurement manual. In the second part of that time together, so months 4 through 6, we will be focused on business strategy. We've had a number of conversations about items like insourcing versus outsourcing of certain functions. And I expect that at that time, the subcommittee would take those action items up. If there is anything emergent from the subcommittee to be considered for adoption by the board, those would appear as recommendations from the subcommittee chair, which is Councilmember Tolmachoff of Glendale, to the board chair.
Thank you so much for that update. I really appreciate that. I think in a I guess a socio-political environment where we're looking to make sure we're able to check and double check, it's always great to trust but verify that we're doing business accordingly. And Mr. Olson, I want to circle back and thank you again, because when we look at the paratransit and the West Express with those unfilled in items, we're kind of nervous about what FY27 is going to look like for us financially, but I'm not just confident. I know that you all are doing the work here, and so I really appreciate it. One thing I think I would just suggest for future, a couple of things for future agenda items. I have them noted. Forgive me, I'm going to tilt my head down and begin to read. I would like if we can have some type of education for newer members put in place that would probably present on, how fare revenues are allocated between bus and rail. I think I got that education when I came onto the board, made it easier for me. I got a little bit of a history lesson as well. Sometimes you still have to educate me on things I was unaware of, maybe when I was in a different industry and not in public service. I think this is especially important. A lot of folks are very concerned, and thank you again, CFO Kessler, for just sharing what PTF is. A lot of folks don't realize that all of us are contributing to this great thing we have, this very much so a diamond in the rough Valley Metro, which is here to conserve energy, connect communities, and really be a public service for folks. And I think when a lot of people stayed up, to the midnight hour last week to hear that Phoenix meeting, there was a lot of confusion, like Phoenix is closing down opportunities for people out in the West Valley, and we do contribute. So Phoenix gets to make decisions about what happens in Phoenix proper, absolutely. But we do come together, and I think it would be better to educate some of our board members on how that works. Things like smart fare, and looking at questions about how are the PTF revenue really split, especially since we actually have a new municipality coming in. Those are some things that we can address. Also, there are some questions of the funding that is going to happen between that transition now that we're in a 400 to 479. We want some more succinct verbiage out there with our board members so they can be able to feel confident and comfortable answering questions and representing this agency that is doing an immensely awesome job here in Maricopa County, in being able to make sure we can support and advocate for this continued access in our community. I think finally, one of the things that I want, really low-hanging fruit, a couple of other meetings that I attend, we have a meeting opener for us where there's just a slight video to remind you what meeting you've tuned into on YouTube, or remind you that there's going to be a time for public comment. That way we can probably have that run a moment or two before our meetings start, with a slight introduction. I think that we have that available, that we offer it in the 3-minute countdown for our City of Avondale Council meetings. And I know most of the MAG meetings have that introduction kind of video available. Not to say that it's difficult reading verbiage, but just to continue to highlight some of the great marketing things that we're doing here anyway, and put that type of piece together to highlight what we're doing. Other than that, any additional report on current events, suggested future and agenda items from our subcommittee members online? Well, I want to thank everyone's participation. I know midday on a Thursday is tough. This was a very long agenda. Seeing no additional items being presented, our next meeting of the Audit Finance Subcommittee is scheduled for Thursday, March 5th at noon. Otherwise, have a wonderful afternoon. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.